Welcome back, and this episode we are gonna keep moving on doing the outer sill. Last episode we got the inner sill into place along with all these fiddly little bits here and the seatbelt bracket, and now we are going to put in the outer sill. The outer sill is going to fit here, and we just need to make some adjustments, do a bunch of grinding so that it's ready to go. And yeah, let's. Oh yeah, we also need to fill these holes in and weld in some nuts because I don't want to have water getting inside. So first things first, let's do that. Okay, that was about an hour's worth of work to get those pieces in. Get those little pieces in place and get some nuts welded onto the backside. So now that that's done, we can dry fit that into place and see where we can move on from there. What we've got happening here is we've got a bit of a gap, right? Which means I got to pull this up in order for it to fit tight against this piece. It's not as bad at the front, but here it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a spacer in the bottom here to hold it in place. Then I'll be able to weld this all into place, right? And then when I pull this back into place, what'll happen is the lower part here will get slightly more of a curve in it. Right now, it's sitting, it's about that much too long, and there's a bit of a curve in it that does this. So that's just the stamping of the metal that's like that. So yeah, so what I'll do is I gotta grind it all down, but it looks good. So I'm going to grind all the places where I'm going to do welding, and then we will put it back in place, put some spacers, weld around the top here and the top there, and pop some spot welds into that area there, as well as here and here. I'll just show you. There and there. And there we'll do spot welds, or we'll plug weld it, and then we'll be able to spot weld the whole bottom. So let's get grinding. I've got the spacer in there now, and everything is, it's nice and tight. There's a little bit of a gap in here, but I'll fill that. That was same as it was before. This one's a lot tighter, but everything looks pretty good here. It's going to be straight. And everything is grinded. It looks like I got all the spaces grinded that I wanted to grind. So now I think what I'm going to do is I want to get this lined up a bit better. It is up in place as high as it'll go, but I think I can adjust it just a little bit with some clamps before I spot weld that. Well, I have tacked this into place. We got the good spot welds going. That was easy enough. Just sort of tack welded it, did some plug welds there with the TIG welder. I might switch over to the MIG welder for those, see if I can't get better penetration, because I got a bit more metal in there now, whereas before I was just going through very thin, stuff. So, yeah, but that looks like it should hold pretty good. So I'm going to remove these blocks and see how the part fits at the bottom now. Now that I've test fit this, as you can see, I've got this all in place here, and what I did was I tacked here, as you remember, and tacked at the front here, and then I just fit this in place to take a look at it and see how it compares to the other side for fit and finish. Now, something interesting here was this issue here, where the original inside is here and this part's here. Now, sure, even the end caps have a little step in them, but it just doesn't fit over where it should. And I don't know if that's a difference between, the fact that this car, the serial number on this car is a very early serial number. It's like, I think it's like 151 or something of 19, and it shows it as a 1968. So this was one of the really early cars, and I don't know whether or not there was a change in the slightly later ones, even, within a couple months that, made that difference there, or if I just screwed up, which is, highly likely. There's always that chance. But anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish tacking these spot welds and maybe do a seam weld along there. I want to seam weld all of these pieces here, so and at the back here. And then I want to put in this back piece. And in order to do that, I'm going to release all the clamps so that it releases the pressure off of this, so that I'll spread it apart again so that I can make sure that it stays nice and tucked up tight while I'm welding it. So let's get these clamps off, get the blocks in place again, and start welding. Right. Well, aside from needing to give this a good wire wheel, you can see I've got this all welded up all the way around here to the front. I got most of this it's ugly. Don't even get me started. Not a welder, but I can grind that back. I can grind it down, which I'm going to do. I want to get some metal on there. I want it to hold. So, if it's big and it's ugly and it's raised, that's fine, because I can grind that down and smooth it out, right? So yeah, that kind of gets me a good chunk of that done. I still have to do these ones in here. They're a real pain in the butt, I'll tell you what, to weld those plug holes up. What I found with the TIG welder is that you got to weld the metal in the center, heat it up there first, get your pool started there, work to an edge, and then work out, from the center. That way you're getting a good bond to the new panel, and then bonding to the outer old panel. So that's just a bit of a little tip there if you're doing this, that you want to start your pool in the center and work your way out to an edge. So yeah, anyway, so that's where I've gotten to right now, and I'm fairly happy with that, and just going to move on. Focus, man. just going to move on to that over there. Well, my battery died and I didn't realize I wasn't recording. So what I did was I took some masking tape and I taped off the spots here where I've got a spot weld. And I got inside there, and it's kind of hard to see unless I turn on this light, which is absolutely useless. I just hit it with some rubberized undercoating. Now, this seam up here, wait, light, thank you. This seam up here is going to be seam sealed. It's hard to see, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, because it's all black, but you can sort of see there's a seam here that runs all the way along. That's going to be seam sealed, to keep moisture out. And yeah, so that's next on the agenda. Well, here we are for another day here. So I was going to pop some seam sealer into here along this seamed edge here, but I just noticed that where I welded and at the top, the paint on the inside has come loose, and I just sprayed rubberized undercoating on that. So what I'm probably going to do is give that a scrape just to get rid of the flaky paint, give it another coat of rubberized undercoat, and then I'm going to run a bead of the seam sealer. And the seam sealer that I got was this stuff here, polyurethane metal and wood. It's a pro grade sealant. So that's what I'm going to use on there. Let's get to it. Now that I have that all clamped into place, I have the little caps that will go into the ends here. Now, they are slightly different to each other, which is kind of interesting. The rear and the front do have different shapes, both in how large the step is here and in the peak. So this is, and also the front one has a draw to it at an angle, which means that it actually goes in on a bit of a diagonal compared to the back one, which is completely straight. So what I need to do though is, because I don't have the little step in here, genius, what I'm going to do is in this one, I'm just going to cut across here and around here and along here, so I can just take this edge piece and roll it around, and then I'll have to run a weld on it, and then I will pop it into place. But other than that little goof that I made, it fits in there. But what I'll do is I will release a couple clamps here just so I can open it up, get it in place, clamp it into place there, and then put these clamps back to tighten everything down before I spot weld it. So let's get on with cutting that one, and then we'll look at the front after that. Okay, so that actually fits pretty good in there. There's a little bit of a discrepancy in the shape here, but that's nothing that can't be tapped into place. It's going to be hidden. This is hidden under the wing of the rear fender. So if I tap that or reshape this outer piece to come into contact this nice and tight, I'm not too worried. I'm also going to seam seal everything, or seam weld everything and stitch weld it. So that actually looks pretty good right there. So let's take that out, weld this this corner in, and then put it back into place. Okay, so that went in actually quite nice, as you saw there. That spot welder is really nice. So you can see there is a bit of a discrepancy right here in, let's focus. All right, There. There's a bit of a discrepancy in the difference between the parts, which doesn't surprise me. So instead of, cutting this and bending it into place, etc., which is going to make it that I have to weld a seam on the inside and along this inner corner, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little filler piece and fill that and just cap it off. As I said, this is kind of behind the fender comes on here, and it comes out to, comes out quite a ways. So you're not going to see that. And by the time I rubberize undercoat the whole inside of the fender, it will all be good. So, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. But next up is going to be getting this little back piece put in here. And let's make sure that it still fits and fit it into place and then weld that. Okay, so this piece isn't even close anymore now that that's actually in place there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to, I don't want to remake it. It's kind of, it looks like I probably am going to have to remake it. This piece is just not going to go. So that is, that's garbage. So let's get a cardboard template there and let's remake this piece. Well then, so that piece is now in place. Not the prettiest of grinding or welding, on it. It's still raised a little bit. I didn't want to just, grind. I still have a little bit of welding in here to do. And as you can see back inside here, that's where I'm gonna, I welded through as far as I could with the TIG welder, but I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna completely fill that with a caulking. This here, I'll probably weld that, but I have to actually, I'm replacing this whole, like a whole bunch of this in here. Right, so I didn't bother with that because it's going to get replaced up in here or will overlap. So that is that. I'm pretty happy with the way that is right now. I will seam weld this here. I got to fill this in. So there's a little bit more to do in there. This also needs to be trimmed down. It's a little bit long, so I'll have to trim that down. But all in all, I am happy with the repair that I got done. This has to be ground. So, the same over at the front here and all these welds here. I gave them a wire wheel just to clean them up. But I think I'm going to get in there and I'm going to grind that down. I got a burr tool that I can get in there nicely with. So if anyone's wondering, I got majorly sunburned. And yeah, it's pretty good. It was a good sunburn, but I ended up with blisters all on the back of my hands from riding a motorcycle without gloves in 40-degree weather. So it was nice and hot. All in all, I'm happy with the way this is moving along. So next on the agenda is to do the same thing, but for the front. So let's move to the front and get that going. Okay, so what I've done is I've marked this one out exactly the same as I did the last one, or the back side. This is going to go in like this, so I don't have this little step in here, so I'm just going to remove that. Other than that, it seems to fit pretty good. Actually fits better than the back one. So let's take this over to the bench and we will cut that out and bend it into place. Make sure that it fits. And this one goes in on a bit of an angle. It's kind of tilted this way and down. So we'll make sure it fits before we weld it. taking that little wedge out of there really made a difference. Can't see because of the light there, but yeah. So that's nice and tight all the way along. If I look down the chute here, you can see that looking down the chute, it's nice and straight, which is what I want. And yeah, so let's take that out, and we will. There's just that little bit I got to weld in the corner here. So I'm gonna weld that, get it cleaned up, and then spot weld it into place here. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so I know that was a little hard to see just because of the light and the distance and everything, but you can see that this spot welder works a treat. So I spot welded it all the way around, and it fits really nice except for where I messed up. Yay! Anyway, well, it just means that I've got an extra, 3/32 of an inch worth of floor space on my feet there. Anyway, structurally it's not going to make much of a difference, but aside from now lining this up, just getting everything, getting the inner and outer sill lined up properly. It's mostly lined up. I'm going to get that lined up, and we'll be spot welding all the way along there, and then grinding everything back. And that will be, I'm going to call that inner and outer sill done when that's done. So let's just finish this off. That's it. All right. I seem to have popped the fuse. Where's my camera? Where are you? There you are. All right, nice and dark in here. Yeah. So it would appear that I popped the fuse. So let me go fix that, and I'll be right back. And we're back. So this unit has a 10-second duty cycle, of which you can use 50%. So each spot weld is supposed to be 5 seconds, and then you're supposed to leave 5 seconds in between. And the last few there, I just kind of went a little fast. So let's take our time. Well, there we go. After a little bit of drama getting in the dark. Very scary, that. We have this whole thing spot welded. So aside from some grinding, which I'm going to get into right now, this side is done. So now, as I said before, I will be I'll be seam welding this. I'll be doing a stitch weld all the way along pretty much the whole car, so that still will have to be done. But for now, I'm just going to clean up some of these grinds. I have a new driver's door coming, so the friend of mine picked it up for me out well north of Victoria, and they're going to be coming to visit. So they're bringing a new used door for me that is definitely going to be better than the mangled piece of junk that I have. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, and let's button this side up this week. That's been a lot of work to get that done. But the driver's side sills are done. So I'm thrilled about that. That's pretty much all the time I've got for this episode. There was a lot to finish off there. I'm really happy with it. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end of this episode. Next time, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do next time. I'm going to take a step back, and the passenger side still has to be done. There's other stuff here that has to be done, but I haven't decided whether I want to do this on this side or jump onto the other side and tighten up, sort of this lower center section of the car before I move on to, the back end. So haven't 100% decided, but, like, subscribe, and, hit that notification, make some comments, thumbs up this video. It really helps, just starting out. And it's like, I got like 100 and something people following, and who knows if they're even watching, but I'd really love to get some more people on here. So thank you so much for sticking around. See you next time.